various movements within or forces within psychology at the time. And transpersonal psychology is, in effect, an attempt to reassert the spirit or soul of psychology and to ideally do so respectfully. It is also a kind of rebuffing or rebuke to an extent against the ways in which psychology has lost its sense of itself in some ways. And so transpersonal psychology is largely about reasserting what might, in some senses, be considered to be the oldest identity of psychology. So if you look at psychology as the study of the psyche, or if you look at psyche through its Greek lens, being soul or more broadly mind, and if you look at the Egyptian origins of psyche as Sahu or Sakhu, Sakhu, which is essentially the illuminated within, the light within, which is a potentially looked at as a general reference to the soul. You can see that psychology, the study of the light within, the soul, etc., is an invitation, or at least could very well be an invitation to do what transpersonal psychology has been attempting to do since the late 60s, since its inception. That's one thing. And transpersonal psychology is an opportunity to look at exceptional human experiences, what Rhea White, the late parapsychologist, a feminist scholar, critical parapsychologist, defined as exceptional human experiences. What she was attempting to do was to essentially bridge parapsychology and transpersonal psychology by saying, well, what are some ways in which we can take parapsychology out of the lab, out of solely an experimental lens, and marry it to the fact that these are people who are having these experiences, people in process, people in their daily lives, etc., who at some point might want to try to integrate these weird or odd experiences from deja vu to, again, entity encounters into their daily lives. What she was doing was developing a kind of taxonomy of and categorization of different types of ways in which people can experience the exceptional. One thing that transpersonal psychology and other psychologies have attempted to do is to reestablish, to understand, to define, and hopefully predict and impact human flourishing is important, I think, for human sciences such as transpersonal psychology to really advocate that, to really assert and insert themselves as psychologists, as scientists, researchers, academicians, as people potentially in dialogue with citizen scientists, those lay people who are really interested in some of these dialogues, some of these phenomena, et cetera, and with lay people who might not be citizen scientists themselves, but who might have an interest in where the rubber meets the road, essentially, in terms of how we think about and understand ourselves as human beings in dialogue with each other, in dialogue with the broader world and the cosmos. I think that continued advocacy can help. I think that continued reaching beyond the global north, beyond solely European paradigms and European American paradigms can be helpful. Continuing to look at ways in which people of color, indigenous communities, both inside and outside of Europe, can be brought in to, or if not brought into, recognized more fully. And these kinds of endeavors can be really helpful. And so I think that those are some of the ways in which the kind of bridge can be built. Another thing is that some individuals have talked about how phenomena like and concepts like mindfulness have really transpersonal roots, but transpersonal psychologists might not have always done the best at, again, advocating for or recognizing where that bridge has been, that those associations have been in the past. And so, yes, peer-reviewed journals and conferences are really important. And we also need to do the other thing, which is, again, being in dialogue with individuals outside of the academy, dialogue with institutes, ways in which we can really expand beyond the ivory tower.